It's coming back, boys. The Summoner Adept is being added back to the Trials loot pool with Witch Queen. This gun, hands down, is my favourite legendary auto rifle in Destiny 2, and for those people who were lucky enough to get this gun in previous seasons, they know why this gun was so damn good, especially in the auto rifle meta. Although this gun, an archetype of assault rifle, is currently not in the meta, I predict this might actually make a resurgence with Witch Queen, even if they slightly buff 600 RPM rifles, because of how easy auto rifles are to use in Destiny 2. So the Summoner is a 600 round per minute adaptive frame auto rifle, which hits for 23 precision and 14 on the body. This leads it to having an optimal TTK of just 0.8 seconds with 8 crits and 1 body, and a body shot TTK of 1.3 seconds, which requires 14 body shots. Now if you compare this against the king of the Crucible currently, the 140 round per minute adaptive hand cannon, those guns have a optimal TTK of 0.87 seconds, which requires 3 crits, and a pure body shot TTK of 1.73 seconds. So these kind of auto rifles are actually pretty competitive from a TTK standpoint. Of course I understand, guns aren't just about pure theoretical values. It depends on how it feels, other stats that sort of contribute to how the weapon actually performs in real life than on a spreadsheet. I feel hitting 8 crits out of 9 shots is actually going to be quite difficult, especially on console, where achieving that level of accuracy consistently is quite difficult, and so a more realistic TTK for this weapon is probably more around 0.9 seconds, whereby you hit 6 crits and 4 bodies, thereby requiring 10 bullets overall. The reason why this current meta feels so good from a gun standpoint is that so many guns have very similar TTKs and they're all quite competitive, and each gun has its own pro and con. Honestly, if they even slightly buff this archetype of auto rifles, you will see a big resurgence in this class of auto rifles in Witch Queen. Now what makes the Summoner Adept stand out against other similar auto rifles, such as the Gnawing Hunger and Arc Logic, is its great perk pool. It can roll with great perks such as Rangefinder, Dynamic Sway Reduction, High Cal rounds, and of course it's also an Adept weapon, so it gains some stat bonuses on fully masterworking the weapon, and can take Adept mods which can also provide some small stat bonuses as well. So what is the god roll for this weapon? Well, let's go over the mainstream best roll that people often talk about, and then we can also talk about some very viable other perk combinations as well. For barrel choice, Arrowhead Break is an absolute no-brainer for me, as it makes the recoil direction of this gun go from a slanted direction to near vertical, and that's going to help you laser your opponents. With Arrowhead Break, you don't need to run counterbalance stock, so you actually free up a mod slot for something like an Adept Icarus Grip, Adept Range. My personal preference is Adept Icarus Grip. I jump around in the air a lot, and it also provides a small range bonus as well. For that first column, I absolutely love High Cal rounds. It boosts range, and it also adds some flinch, which is going to be necessary when you're exposed using an assault rifle against people who, peek in and out with weapons such as a hand cannon. Just as viable is also Ricochet rounds, which also gives you the exact same range bonus, but it also adds some stability. In the second column, most people are going to go for Dynamic Sway Reduction, whereby after around 0.6 seconds, the gun's accuracy gets boosted a lot, and the gun's bloom is practically eliminated, and it also incrementally increases the stability of the gun the longer you use it, to a maximum of +9 to the stability stat. For the final column, Rangefinder is going to help push the range out, and then a Range Masterwork is what I recommend, as that will compound the effect for Rangefinder, so that you can duel at the upper ends of medium range. For that second column, instead of Dynamic Sway Reduction, Moving Target is also viable, but it didn't feel as good as DSR to me personally. Also, I would not sleep on Overflow in 6's modes, and that's the perk you can see me using in this background gameplay, in Clash, in Control, as it boosts the magazine to 84 when running over special ammo. It's pretty nasty. Final column, most people are going to argue Rangefinder or bust here. However, if you ever play a Void subclass as your main, do not sleep on Elemental Capacitor. The gun feels like a laser beam with the +18 stability that the Void bonus gives. So an ideal summoner actually has more effective range, more stability, similar aim assist, and a better recoil direction than Gnawing Hunger and Arc Logic. The 29 meter range that a summoner provides can let you compete against the mid-range of a hand cannon fairly effectively. It's only when you push out to beyond 30 meters where you may struggle against a better rolled Fatebringer, a Palindrome, or an Ace of Spades. That perk combination of Dynamic Sway Reduction and Rangefinder lets you achieve the best of both worlds. You get to push out the range, and you also get to have a laser beam in your hands. The only 600 RPM which outclasses the summoner greatly in any department is the Scathe Lock, The Scathelocke has a much greater effective range, but that's because it has a greater zoom of 20 in comparison to 16 for the Summoner, for Arc Logic, and for Gnawing Hunger. And in all honesty, that greater zoom can sort of take you out of your peripheral vision, and sometimes it doesn't feel good. So guys, what role for the Summoner will you be chasing once it comes back in Trials? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you're as excited for Witch Queen as I am. If you enjoyed what I talked about today, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content in the run-up to Witch Queen. Peace out, guys.